What's up guys, this video is on how to carry games. It's oriented towards public games, although it's applicable to private games as well. And I did write this script about 6 months ago for V1, but everything is still relevant to V2. If you want to have more consistent runs, you need to take responsibility and provide leadership in your games. Providing leadership, it's not about bossing people around and telling people what to do all the time, but it's about showing initiative and it's about being in the front, because players will tend to follow whoever's in the front. If the one person in the front goes to the left, most of the other players will tend to go to the left as well. If the person in the front stops to shoot at trash or to aggro trash or whatever, most of the other players, they'll say, oh, okay, we're stopping to shoot trash now. They'll stop and they'll aggro a bunch of trash. So by being in the front, you want to set an example for what the team should be doing at that point. So that means that you don't need to be going off to look for items. Your puppies will certainly take care of that. You don't need to be aggroing trash. Your puppies will also take care of that. You want to be going from point A to point B, and you want to be guiding your team along the best path and always choosing the best position. The microphone is a great tool, but not everybody has a microphone. Text is more reliable than the microphone, but you can have a hard time texting in combat because you don't block when you text anymore now that the QOL mod is gone. And you want to find a balance when you communicate. I don't like to talk too much and be seen like I'm kind of bossing people around. You also don't want to talk too little and have your team white because you didn't call out something very important. Now, you're going to have a hard time leading teams and making calls if you're struggling to complete the map yourself. You really want to improve your personal abilities as much as you can. And to do that, I really recommend duo and true solo, because it's going to put you under more pressure than normal and it's going to force you to fight more rats than you're probably comfortable with dealing with. Duo is great because it'll force you to work on your communication. A single assassin or a single leech isn't an instant game over. You still have another person who can help you out with those kinds of situations. So you need to be watching out for difficulty spikes. You can let your pubs DPS the horde and chase after green circles, but you need to be thinking about what is the worst enemy that could spawn right now, and you need to be prepared to deal with that enemy. If you're backed up in a corner, you need to be looking, where could the gas rat spawn? You want to save your items for difficulty spikes and for things where if you don't use this item, your team will wipe. That's when you want to use the item. That said, there is a counterpoint to that, and that's every item you carry to the end of the run did you no good and you might as well have had it. And that's a valid point, but I would rather carry an item to the end of the run and win rather than waste my items early on and then when I really need that bomb, not have a bomb and my team wipes and we lose the game. I recommend taking a sniper weapon rather than an anti-horde weapon, because anybody can DPS a horde, but you can't trust other people to snipe specials for you. You're playing for your team. You want to play the objective. That means you carry the tome or the grim unless you're a character who really should have a potion. You probably want to take the first tome and the first grim, so that way you're not waiting on your puppies. You know, every time you come up to a tome, they do that thing where they stand around for 15 seconds. Just take the first tome, take the first grim, unless there's a jumping puzzle that you want to do to save your puppies the time, or unless there's one that's further out of the way that you want to take to save your puppies the time of having to go get it. If someone on your team asks for something, there's probably a reason. So if someone asks for a potion or something like that, or a medical kit, I give it to them because there's probably a reason why they're asking for it. And even if they don't ask for things, I tend to give players whatever the meta item for their class is. So for example, I might give a pyromancer a purple potion, but I wouldn't give an ironbreaker a strength potion. The general etiquette in Vermintide is that the host is in charge. If the host says no grims, that means no grims. If I think we're doing well, I might say, hey, what about one? But if they still say no, then that means that there aren't any grims. If you don't like it, you can just leave and host your own game. I leave games with negative people, so if I join a game and someone says something like, oh, if a low level joins, kick them, I'll just leave the game. I try not to flame people in chat and to assign blame to other puppies that I don't know. Morale is very important. I will gladly take the responsibility, because the truth is, in almost every wipe, there's always something you could have done better. I try to keep the morale up. Sometimes I get salty and bitter like the rest of us, but I try to maintain a positive attitude and I try to accept the blame for things unless someone does something tremendously stupid. So I hope this was helpful. I think these are some good habits to have, and they served me well in V1, and they're continuing to serve me well in V2.